Chairman, I too would like to thank our military men and women for their dedication to this country, for the sacrifices that they and their families make in any theater of war and make every day for us. But our exit from Afghanistan was a disaster, and the missteps that are already outlined had consequences that struck close to home. As a Nebraskan, Corporal Dagan Page was one of the 13 service members killed in action. And we should not forget, we have the policy discussions here today, but let us remember the human sacrifice. We also left American citizens behind. General Milley, in your written testimony, you stated withdrawal would increase risks of regional instability, the security of Pakistan and its nuclear arsenals, a global rise in violent extremist organizations, our global credibility with allies and partners would suffer, and a narrative of abandoning the Afghans would become widespread. Would you agree that all of these things have happened over the last 8 weeks or are currently happening?
I think in the main, yes, Senator. Most of those are probably happening right now.
And I hope that we see in the future military advice having more consideration by the administration on what will happen from what you and General McKenzie have said today.
If I may, Senator, I can tell you with 100% certainty that the military voice was heard and it was considered.
It was considered but not followed, correct?
We have, presidents are elected for reasons. They make strategic decisions.
I would say this committee, General, has always stressed that commanders on the ground should be listened to. Would you agree with that?
I would, and I would tell you they were listened to. I think there's a difference between us having an opportunity to have a voice, and I think it's very important that the military has a voice, but I firmly believe in swinging control of the military, and I am required, and the military commanders are required to give our best military advice, but the decision makers are not required in any manner, shape, or form to follow that advice.
No, they are not, and I agree with you about the civilian control of this country, but I think it is also important to realize when we continue to see missteps by an administration that's costing lives. Secretary Austin, it's being reported right now that the Biden administration reached out to Russia about using Russian bases in the Central Asian nations bordering Afghanistan to the north for our strike assets to fly out of for the over-the-horizon counterterrorism missions. Is that true?
Senator, this is an issue that I believe came up during a conversation that the President had with President Putin, where President Putin offered to provide assistance.
But have you reached out to the Russians asking specifically to use bases?
General Milley just recently had a conversation with his Russian counterpart.
So the reports are true that have been coming out today?
I can assure you that we are not seeking Russia's permission to do anything. But I believe, and General Milley can speak for himself, but I believe that he asked for clarification on what that offer was.
I have a number of questions, which I'll need to get to with General McKenzie about over the horizon and the capabilities as we look to the future and what's available there. But I think it's what we're seeing in the reports today about asking to use Russian bases. That's just another example that we see of the Biden administration. They've really left us in a terrible position that we have to ask the Russians to be able to protect the United States from terrorists, and we have to ask them to use their installations. Thank you,
and I would just
Chairman.
reemphasize, Senator, that we're not asking the Russians for anything.
But you're negotiating, trying to get these bases to be able to use their installations because Afghanistan is a landlocked country, and when we have explanations from the military, and they give examples for over the horizon and use countries like Yemen and Libya and Somalia, that does not take into consideration that Afghanistan is landlocked, and we have to depend on Pakistan to give us airspace to get there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Fischer. Senator